Hello, and welcome to the Beyond the Grove podcast. I'm your host, Michael Vincent, and this is a podcast for the community to highlight our alumni, our staff, and other key contributors to the Aspen Grove community. We invite you to listen along as we release regular episodes aimed to keep you informed about our programs, provide interviews with alumni, staff, students, and parents, and to highlight key events and developments for the school. Episodes will be made available on the school website and in the e-newsletter. And a special thanks to Ojin Lee for the intro and outro music. Thanks for listening and enjoy the episode. Hello, Aspen Grove, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Grove podcast. Today, I have a special guest, Sara Taylor, who graduated in 2023.
Yep.
Awesome. So let's welcome Sara.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been dying to have you as a guest on this podcast because you have one of the coolest post-secondary programs that I've ever heard of. I did not know that was a thing until you mentioned it. So I'll let you introduce it. So do you mind saying what you did? And I'd be curious where you first got that idea or where that even came from.
So I did a program called Semester at Sea, which is basically a 4-month program where you live on a ship and travel and do school. I got the idea probably about 2019. I think I saw someone do a YouTube video, like they were living on the ship and filming on it. And honestly, at that point in time, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do after high school and all that. So I was like, this would be kind of a cool thing to do, not even knowing that they did like gap year programs and all that. They kind of mainly focused towards like undergraduate students. And then kind of as things got like moving along like further in like DP and I don't know, high school and that, I looked deeper into it to see if I could take a gap year and do it, and then figured out I could. So that was kind of my goal for that, and then obviously ended up getting accepted and going on it. So
good for you. That's super cool. So when you first found that YouTube video, were you researching post-secondary stuff or it just happened to pop up?
It just popped up and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah, why go to school on campus?
Why would I go on a boat? Like, why wouldn't I? But
yeah. What was that application process like?
It was honestly really easy. Like, you just had to, at least for me, as a gap year, they had like separate application processes, obviously depending on what you were doing. Mm-hmm. So it was basically an essay of why you wanted to go on it and what you think, or why you think it would be valuable for you to go on this. And then obviously I don't even think I had to submit grades because they weren't worried about that at the time, obviously.
So they're more interested in your reasoning for wanting to go rather than
why
academics.
You wanted to have that experience. So.
And where's the program based out of? Is it Canadian?
No, it's based through the University of Colorado, so CSU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So was it a pretty international crowd of students, or was it mostly Americans?
Primarily Americans, but kind of all over the States. A decent number of Canadians. We kind of had our own little Canadian club on the ship.
Okay, cool.
Which was fun. Like, a few people brought some like maple candies.
Oh, okay. Representing Canada?
Yeah, made it feel like home. But then also had a lot of international students as well. But.
So when you say ship, I mean, we could have a little boat, you could have like a BC ferry, you could have a cruise ship. Like, how would you describe the ship that this program uses?
Well, it's in the months that it's not used as Semester at Sea ship, they use it from September to December for their fall voyage, and then they have one in the spring, which is January to April, which is what I went on. And in those other months, it's a German cruise ship.
Oh, so it is a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a smaller cruise ship. It's probably about a BC ferry size ship.
Okay.
So it's still big, but it's not, you pull into port next to these gigantic cruise ships and you're like, we're tiny next to this thing.
Fair enough. Okay, so BC Ferries, I can wrap my head around that. And do you have single rooms, double rooms?
A whole myriad. Most people had a roommate, if not two.
Okay.
You pay a premium to get like an outside one with a window.
Oh, okay, yeah. Did you have a window?
I did have a window.
Nice, yeah.
And I only had one roommate. Some people had they were in triples. Some people were in an inside triple, so they had no window and 3 people living in a room.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it was a bit like a cardboard box. But at the end of the day, you don't spend that much time in your room. You're just wandering around the ship or outside or all that, so.
And because this is a school, do they have classrooms or lecture halls on the boat?
Well, they kind of use I don't even know how to describe it. They have like dining rooms and all that kind of get converted into classrooms.
Okay.
And they have a big like main lecture hall called the Union, which everybody would have a class in there called Global Studies in the morning, which basically gave you information on like where you were going, like the next port you were going to. So yeah, just kind of one big area that everybody could sit in the morning. And
So cool. Typically an episode of this podcast is about 20 minutes. We might go over today just because I have so many questions for you. Is there entertainment on the boat? Is there like I know cruise ships have like movie theaters and game rooms and arcades?
There was a movie theater. It was kind of like you'd have to rent the space, and then the library would have movies you could rent. It wasn't like they were playing whatever was in the theaters at the moment.
That's fair.
I mean, the crew had like talent shows every now and again to like, just give people some fun in the evenings. And yeah, they also had these things called cross currents, which were basically all the lecturers on the ships, like they'd give one on like a specific topic one evening, like something that they were interested about, and they'd basically talk in the big union to everyone about something that they were passionate about, which was kind of like another thing to go and do in the evenings if you were kind of at a loose end. So
I wouldn't even know what to compare this to. Like, is it sort of like being at a summer camp on a boat?
I don't even like.
Have you been on a cruise before?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so this is your first kind of cruise-like experience,
yeah.
Other than BC ferries.
Yeah, which doesn't quite cut it.
No, that's fair, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you could kind of compare it to, like, the Sweet Life on Deck, maybe. Mm-hmm. But stopping in countries, I don't know if they really stopped. I think they were just kind of always at sea.
Okay. How was the food?
It was good. Like,
is it a cafeteria like White Spot on BC Ferries, or?
They had two buffets, or they had two restaurants which both had buffets. So you'd have like a hot bar which had like pasta and potato. It was a lot of carbs.
Okay, yeah,
because it's probably the easiest to store and all that.
Yeah.
It gets repetitive, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and then you're also getting off the ship and going to try all this amazing new food. So,
do you get seasick?
I only got seasick at the very beginning.
Okay.
We started in Thailand, and it was a little bit rocky, kind of like the first night we set off from Thailand.
Sorry, so you fly to Thailand and you board the ship in Thailand?
Yes.
So you're starting your program
in Thailand.
Okay.
Yes. So a long way to go.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was like over a day of travel.
And did you travel around Thailand before you went on the ship?
Embarkation day was January 5th. So that was when we actually left. And then I think we flew in, me and my parents came with me. We flew in.
Good excuse to go to Thailand.
Yeah, right. They spent more time there than I did. But we flew in New Year's Eve in December. So I only had like a few days to explore there, whereas my parents spent about 2 weeks in Thailand.
Nice.
Just getting tan and all that.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It was beautiful when I was there. It was very different.
It's right. That was in January?
Yeah.
Okay. And so your day-to-day, is there a day-to-day routine, or is this program pretty... Because are you attending classes during the day?
Yeah.
So when you're on the ship, you just have a regular class schedule?
Yeah, you kind of had like A days and B days.
Okay.
Like you'd have, this set of classes on this day and then another set of classes on another day. And then you'd also get like study days bumped into that, which were basically, even though they were like, you need to go study, it was basically an excuse for everybody to go to the pool for a day.
Oh, yeah, so they had a pool on the ship, of course.
Yeah, pool and basketball court. And yeah.
And how rigorous was this program? Was it, did you get a lot of homework?
I wouldn't say, obviously you're doing school on a ship, but it's not the most rigorous academic program there is out there. No,
it's not like a first-year university.
No.
Yeah, okay.
I think the vast majority of people were on it to travel with an idea, or with the goal of, if they needed to do electives that they hadn't done at their home school, they could basically fill in on the ship, and then they could go back.
Is everyone doing the same coursework, or do you get to choose the courses you're taking?
You get to choose. They basically have, I can't remember how many courses they offer, but depending on your major, you can kind of pick whatever aligns best. Like there were people taking like third-year marketing and business courses. So,
do you mind giving us just a sampling of the courses that you took, or a few of them?
I took a psych course, just like
Very
Psych
nice.
100, just to get into it, keep it nice.
The psychology is awesome.
There was a mandatory class for the gap years, which was kind of like intro to first year university.
Cool.
And then I also took a health and wellness class. I was just kind of like picking and choosing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because as a gap year, they kind of limited you to like only taking like 100 level courses.
Sure.
So, and anything that was like business or whatever was all kind of 300, 200, 300 level courses. So I couldn't take any of those.
No, fair enough. And once you have those credits, do those transfer if you want to? Okay. So you got some university credit on the boat.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
That's super neat. Okay. So from following you on Instagram, it seemed like a big component of this experience was traveling to other countries.
Yes.
So how many countries did you go to in this year? I feel like every time I checked your Instagram, you were in a different country.
This year, I mean, I went to 10 while I was on the ship. And then I spent the 2 months afterwards traveling around Europe and then went to another 12. So 22 this year.
So a lot of your traveling then was not officially part of this program.
No.
But you did 10 countries.
Yep.
Is that built into the coursework you're doing?
Yeah, a lot of the classes, they'll kind of structure their lectures and that. Like if you were doing a music course, they'd obviously like look at the music in the next place you were going to kind of analyze that. So it's all very like incorporated in terms of where you're going. So,
that is so cool.
Yeah.
So how much time did you spend on the boat versus how much time did you spend in these countries traveling around, or did you get freedom and flexibility when you got to a different country, or was it pretty programmed in terms of what you would do?
Yeah. You had about, I want to say our sea stretches kind of could range from 4 days to I think our longest was about 13, so almost 2 weeks.
And are you ready to get off the boat at that point of 13 days, or did you enjoy that lifestyle?
After 13 days, it's kind of like, okay, I'm ready to go do something new.
Yeah.
But then once you get to port, you have about 5 days to a week in each country where you're basically free to do whatever you want. You can rent an Airbnb. You could go, book a whole bunch of excursions.
Oh, wow.
But Semester at Sea also offers these things called field programs, which are basically programs that you book in advance, and they take care of like all your accommodation, your food, you prepay for all that, and they just kind of like take you with them. Cool. I personally did one in India. It was to go to Ranthambore, which is where they're famous for having like Bengal tigers.
Oh, wow.
So I went on a tiger safari there. Didn't see any tigers.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But it's okay. We saw a sun bear, which are really rare to see.
Oh, cool. What's a sun bear?
It's, I don't know. It's like a smaller bear, and then it's got like a yellow kind of nose.
Huh. Are they the red ones?
Kind of looks like a sun. No, they're black.
Oh, okay.
But it was cool.
Yeah, that sounds super
India
cool.
was really fun, but...
So with India, then they had a program that you were following, or like a set schedule. But in other countries, you would just spend the money you wanted to spend to stay where you wanted to stay and do what you wanted to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And sorry, how long would you spend in any given country?
5 to 7 days, usually.
7 days.
Yeah.
No, you might not remember. Can you list off the 10 countries you went to as part of this program?
Probably, yeah.
Do you want to try? I'm curious to hear where you went.
Started in Thailand, went to Malaysia, then did India, Kenya. We were supposed to go to Mauritius, but then there was a cyclone, so we got rerouted back to Mozambique. So I went to Mozambique, which was fun. Then went to South Africa, had 2 different ports in Ghana, and then went to Morocco, Portugal, and then finished up in Germany, where we got off. So.
And what was your favorite?
My favorite was Morocco.
Okay.
I had so much fun there. We went to the Sahara Desert. Yeah, that was definitely my favorite place. Everybody there was so nice too.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, that's so, like the breadth of experiences in countries that you're experiencing in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
It was nice. That fast pace was like honestly nice, because then you get back on the ship and everything kind of slows down. So it's kind of nice to kind of have that go.
Yeah.
And then you get back and you're like, ah.
Did you feel like, I know when you're on the water for a long time and then you get off the water, did you have that kind of
like
your
sea
equilibrium?
legs?
Yeah, like you feel like you're on a boat still?
I don't think I had, I don't know many people that had that. No. I don't know whether it's like, maybe it's a thing with smaller boats, but I don't know. I didn't experience it, and I don't think many of my friends did either. So.
And so those countries you went to, is that a set? Did you know in advance that those were the countries you were going to?
Yeah, they give you an itinerary. Like, they have an itinerary out for, spring of 2026. So you could decide now if you wanted to go, that far ahead. And it kind of changes depending on, like, the fall or the spring. They'll kind of go one way in the spring and then do the reverse in the fall, with a couple changes maybe. But
And so did you travel around with people, obviously you met on the ship in these areas?
Yeah.
So did you feel like you made some good friends on this program?
Oh, yeah. I've got lots of houses to stay in if I ever want to go anywhere in the States. So,
yeah.
And
really did you meet many locals in the places that you went to? Or?
That was probably, honestly, like, those are probably the most, I don't know, like, important experiences I have. Like, I know a lot of my friends in India, they obviously tuk-tuks are kind of your main way of getting around. They're your cheapest way of getting around. And, you get a driver and they'd take you around for the day, and then they'd kind of be like, you'd get to know them, and then they'd be like, but, like, I want you to come home and meet my family because, I've gotten to know you so well, and I want you to come have dinner. And it's not in, like, a pushy way of, like, oh, there's this foreign person.
Just a friendly.
Yeah, it's just, like, their way of being like, oh, I'm glad I met you, like, that kind of thing. Wow.
So yeah, this is maybe a big question, but was there anything that really surprised you or anything that really changed your perspective, or just something that you felt, having traveled to that many countries and around the world, that made you think about anything differently or the world differently?
I think doing that really makes you realize that so many people have so many different lives, like, especially, going to Ghana or things like that. It is, like, a very impoverished country. But to them, they don't know any different. So you may look at these people who are, they're walking on the street with no shoes, and you're like, nobody does that here. No. Because, people have shoes, or most people have shoes. But for them, that's just normal. They're living that life, and they don't know any different.
And they're not missing the fact they don't have shoes. That's just,
like, and they're happy in the way they are. It just looks different to us.
Yeah. So just how different people live in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So I think I know the answer to this question. Would you recommend that students perhaps take a look at this program for their
100%,
post-secondary?
Yeah. If travel's, like, an interest, then I would definitely say look into it, because it's a great opportunity. So.
What was the program one more time?
Semester at Sea.
Semester at Sea. So if you just Google that.
Yeah. A whole bunch of things will pop up, and it's pretty easy to follow.
Yeah, that's incredible. I just remember the first time you told me about it, I had to do a double take, because I was like, what? You just, like, go on a ship and go all over the world and take classes? That is so cool. Well, thank you for sharing all that. I have a few standard questions I ask. Is there anything else you want to add that I didn't ask you about? You feel like people should know about that program, or any of the countries you went to? Or
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty well.
And then you traveled for 4 months afterwards, you said?
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
And you went all over Europe.
Yeah, went all over Europe with one of my friends that I made on the ship. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So what year did you come to Aspen Grove? Do you remember?
Did I join?
Yeah. Do you remember what grade you were in?
I was in grade 5. I think it was 2015.
Okay. Do you have a best memory at Aspen Grove School?
I feel like this is something, like, I talked about with, like, my friends from, like, my graduating years. Like, you don't realize, like, or you don't think about the people you're with that much until you get to, like, grade 11 and 12, like, especially those last few months of grade 12, when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never, like, or I'm not going to see these people that often, like, once we all graduate.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best memories are maybe just, like, the most, like, mundane, like, lunch times or snack times, or I don't know, even we'd, like, watch, like, the World Cup in your classroom, and, like, everybody was just, like, together.
Just spending time together.
Yeah, because you get so used to seeing these people, and then it's kind of like a little family. So
that's a great point. Yeah, because I think you just take for granted that, of course, like, next grade we'll all be back.
You're
and
like,
we'll see each
I have
other.
to see you again.
Yeah, exactly. But then grade 12, it's like, oh yeah, it's going to be different.
Yeah,
I'm going to be traveling all over the world on a boat.
Yeah,
and won't see people. Yeah. Is there anything that you felt like Aspen Grove helped prepare you for school or the future or your traveling?
Probably the ability to, like, work under pressure. And I think that especially also kicked in, like, while I was away for the first 4 months. Obviously, with it being such a fast-paced environment, you kind of have to learn to work under that level of pressure of how fast things move.
Right.
And even just, like, the academic pressure of, like, DP, I think that in turn has helped with like at least my first year of university. You know, deadlines come up fast, but I got skills from like DP that in turn have helped me this year to kind of manage that pressure and not crumble under it, whereas I may have before, or if I didn't come here. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. And do you have your best piece of advice for Aspen Grove students, whether it's at school or after school or in life in general?
I feel like I still need advice, but
That's fair.
I'd probably say don't rush, because I feel like there's such like a, I don't know, again, a pressure that people, once they're kind of in grade 11, 12, they're expected to kind of know where they want to go to school or what they want to do with the rest of their lives. But I don't know, for a lot of people, that's really unattainable, I feel. And at least I felt that pressure of being like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then decided to take a gap year, and it was the best thing I'd ever done because it gave me time to actually reflect on my interests and what I wanted to do and figure out who I was before, you know, putting my money down on a school and doing that. So
no, that's great advice. And that seems to be a recurring theme with alumni is
take your time.
Yeah, like you don't have that perspective in grade 10 or 11. You feel like, oh my gosh, where am I going to go? And I have to have my whole life mapped out.
Yeah.
But then you realize once you're out there that, you know, there's room to pivot.
Things can change,
Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate that. And you're doing business at the moment, is that right?
Yeah, business at VIU.
How's that going?
It's going good so far. I have some tough classes. I'm in an accounting class, which is not my ideal field. It's okay.
And were you thinking business when you were in grade 12?
I was starting to think about it, probably looking more so at marketing.
And did you have an experience during your year that kind of pushed you towards wanting to do business, or just something you came to the conclusion after you were done?
I think it was just something that came later. I think it was more so from a standpoint of if I get a business degree, then my world is, you know, the world is my oyster. I can kind of do anything because it prepares you so well for so many different things. So that was kind of where my standpoint on how I decided. So
is it hard going to classes now that's not on a boat?
It was honestly hard going to classes when you were on a boat.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's different, but in a nice way.
In a nice way. Oh yeah, that was another thing I wanted to ask you. Did you ever have any like bad storms or rocky? Were there any times we were on the boat that felt kind of sketchy or like...
Not sketchy. There definitely were times like around the tip of South Africa. It's known for getting very, very choppy.
Yeah.
And it did get very choppy. Like it would splash up on your cabin windows.
Oh, wow, okay.
And yeah.
Was that concerning or you just knew that
you
was
just
part
kind
of
of
it?
get used to it. Like, I don't know. And then the ship will like rock like back and forth, like end to end. So if you're going down the stairs and all of a sudden the ship's going up, it's kind of like anti-gravity and you're kind of floating down the stairs, which was fun. But I don't know. At the end of the day, when you get like a storm or anything, it's kind of nice. It kind of like rocks you to sleep at night.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know.
Is it hard to
it's kinda
sleep when you get off
comforting.
the boat now?
No.
You don't have that nice rocking sensation?
I mean, I'm sure if I got back on, I'd sleep like a baby, but...
Yeah, there must be beds that do that, that kind of rock
Water
back
beds?
and... Water beds, yeah, exactly. I thought those were from the 80s, but do you have a water bed now?
No.
No.
I think I'd be too scared that it would pop.
That's fair. And for people, did you experience anyone on the ship who had bad seasickness, who had to leave the program, or...
I don't know of anybody that left because of it. I know a lot of people like wore the seasickness like patches or bands or whatever, even when it wasn't rocky, just was almost like a fail-safe.
Yeah. Because had you been on lots of boats before?
Not really.
No. Because that's maybe something people want to find out before they go in this program. That...
Yeah. But even if you do get seasick, I feel like it's something that kind of mellows as time goes on.
Yeah.
So...
At least everyone from our school's probably been on BC ferries, so you get a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on a stormy day if you want,
There you go.
the experience.
Did you see whales or any like cool wildlife when you were on the boat?
Just like, actually we saw dolphins a few times.
Okay.
Flying fish, birds every now and again when you got close enough to land.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you were kind of like out in the middle, didn't really see much. Like occasionally you'd see another like big freight ship go by, but other than that, it was just kind of us.
That's so cool. Well, you've hit our record for our longest episode of Beyond the Grove, but I feel like I keep asking you questions, but I'll let you go. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I might have to have you on another time. All the questions I realized I didn't ask you, but that's a super cool program.
Thank you.
So if anyone wants, if you listen to this and you want to know about this program, maybe I can put you in touch with Sarah if she has any questions.
Yeah.
You can
DM me on Instagram.
Yeah, perfect. All right, well, thank you. And anything you want to plug or anything you want to say before you go?
I don't think so. I think, I'm just me.
Just me. Okay. Well, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure taking you beyond the Grove. The show is hosted, produced, and edited by Mike Vincent and is an Aspen Grove School production. Special thanks to Stu Setch for his generous contributions of equipment and expertise towards the creation of this podcast. Also thanks to Ojin Lee for the intro and outro music. You can find his other works on Spotify by searching for Ojin. Please stay tuned for future episodes as we continue to bring you highlights of all the exciting things happening in the AGS community. From all of us at Aspen Grove School and me, your host, Mike Vincent, thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Grove. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.